You kids don't know the birds of the Pacific, the angels in the sky. Before these warbirds took flight, American pilots faced a nightmare. The Mitsubishi Zero, a fighter that outmaneuvered everything we had. But that was about to change. Enter the F-6F Hellcat and the F-4U Corsair, game changers, born to dominate. Sit back and don't forget to hit that like button. Meet the Hellcat, the rugged beast that Grumman built to win wars. Designed for simplicity and survivability, it had thick armor, 6.50 caliber machine guns, and a monster of an engine. The result? A fighter that chewed Zeros apart with a kill ratio of 19-1. The Hellcat wasn't just a match for the Zero, it outclassed it. Unlike the lightweight, unarmored Japanese fighters, the Hellcat could take hits and keep fighting. Many pilots recalled limping back to their carriers, their aircraft riddled with bullet holes, yet still airworthy. The Zero? One good burst, and it was flaming wreckage. Powered by the 2,000 horsepower Pratt & Whitney double Wasp engine, the Hellcat could climb fast, hit hard, and outrun danger. Unlike the early American fighters that struggled at high altitudes, the Hellcat was a predator at any level. Its cockpit was designed for maximum visibility, giving pilots an edge in situational awareness, something crucial in the chaos of aerial combat. The Hellcat's firepower was nothing to underestimate. Its 6.50 caliber machine guns could shred enemy aircraft in seconds. Unlike the Zero, which relied on agility, the Hellcat was built to end dogfights quickly and decisively. A well-aimed burst from its guns was often the last thing an enemy pilot saw. Carrier warfare had changed by the time the Hellcat arrived. Earlier in the war, American pilots had to fight desperately just to hold their own. But with the Hellcat, the tide turned. Now, American carriers had a fighter that could escort bombers, defend fleets, and strike enemy positions with unmatched dominance. And then, there was the training. American pilots were put through rigorous training in dogfighting tactics, something Japan's struggling war effort couldn't match, as their veteran aces were lost in battle. The Hellcat was easy to fly, forgiving to new pilots, and that meant more Americans could take to the skies and return home alive. Then, there was the Corsair. If the Hellcat was a brawler, the Corsair was a hot rod. That inverted gull-wing design wasn't just for looks. It housed a massive propeller and gave it insane speed. The Japanese called it whistling death, because by the time they heard it, it was already too late. The Corsair wasn't just fast, it was heavily armed. 6.50 caliber machine guns, plus the ability to carry bombs and rockets, made it one of the most versatile fighters of the war. Whether dogfighting in the skies or strafing enemy ground positions, the Corsair was a force to be reckoned with. The Pacific theater demanded more than just aerial superiority. It required a plane that could support troops on the ground. The Corsair answered that call. Marine squadrons used its speed and firepower to devastate enemy positions, protecting advancing infantry and turning the tide in brutal island-hopping campaigns. But for all its strengths, the Corsair was not an easy beast to tame. It had one of the worst reputations for carrier landings, earning it the grim nickname, the Ensign Eliminator, or the Widowmaker. Its long nose limited visibility, forcing pilots to make steep, curved approaches. And its powerful engine and narrow landing gear made hard landings a common and dangerous event. Many young pilots struggled to control it, and some never walked away from their first attempt. Early on, the Navy deemed it too dangerous for carrier operations, forcing it into Marine Corps hands. But the Marines made it work. They took it to the front lines, flying from island airstrips and proving its worth in combat. Eventually, carrier pilots learned how to handle its quirks, and the Corsair returned to the decks of the fleet. more lethal than ever. The pilots who mastered the Corsair didn't just fly, they wrestled it into submission. And those who did became legends in the skies. Both the Hellcat and the Corsair were critical in the pivotal battles of the Pacific, Midway, Leyte Gulf, and Iwo Jima, changing the course of the war. Together, they formed the backbone of the U.S. Navy's carrier air wings. They fought side by side, attacking Japanese bombers, fighters, and ground positions with ruthless precision. With these two planes, America took to the skies in a relentless push that would cripple Japan's naval and air forces. By the end of 1944, both the Hellcat and the Corsair were integral parts of the Navy's strategy to strangle Japan's war effort from the sky. It wasn't just the enemy's aircraft that were destroyed. The Hellcat and Corsair represented a symbol of American resolve, proof that the U.S. could not only defend its shores, but carry the fight across vast oceans, overcoming even the most formidable opponents. In the end, these two legendary fighters helped secure the skies of the Pacific, contributing directly to the eventual victory at the Battle of Okinawa and the relentless march toward the final defeat of the Japanese Empire. They were more than just machines. They were the embodiment of the U.S. Navy's air superiority, shaping the Pacific War's outcome and, ultimately, winning the Pacific. And that's the story of two of the most iconic fighters of World War II, the F-6F Hellcat and the F-4U Corsair, the unsung heroes that helped turn the tide of the Pacific War. Their impact on the battlefield, from their sheer firepower to the courage of the pilots who flew them, is something that should never be forgotten. But if you think you know the full story, think again. There's always more to uncover, more to learn, and more hidden gems of history waiting to be discovered. If you enjoyed this deep dive into these legendary planes and their role in the Pacific, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Vaultscape, and turn on the notifications so you never miss an episode. Don't forget to drop a comment below. What other pieces of history do you think today's generation is missing out on? Let's keep exploring the vaults of history together.